My fiancé gave me an ultimatum. Stop being friends with my ex and stop our families interacting, or she will call of the wedding and our relationship. The author of the post is listed in the description. Some background: my ex-girlfriend Emma, 26, and I, 26M, were together for 9 years. We got together when we were 13 and broke things off when we were 22. We were friends since first grade. We grew up together, our families became quite close, and our friendship circles were always intertwined at some point or another. This will be important later. We drifted in different directions as we got older, and we realized what we wanted from our relationships were ultimately different. We no longer had romantic feelings for one another, so we decided we would be better off as friends. We were best friends anyway. There hasn't been anything romantic since we broke up. Nothing of a sexual nature either. A quick hug here and there to say goodbye at most. I truly haven't felt that way about her since things ended, and she's the same. The breakup was very amicable. Now to the issue. My fiancée Sarah, 24, and I have been together for almost 3 years. I proposed a few days ago, and we are set to be married this year. I was so happy when she said yes. Our relationship has been great. Amazing communication, always smiling together. It's been wonderful. She knew about my past with Emma, as I was very upfront with her about it when we first began dating, as Emma and I are still friends. Our families still get together for sporting events, have parties, and hang out together all of the time. My parents are really close to hers, and our siblings, 22M, 25F, 17F, 18F, and 19M, are good friends too. They are all really close. They even have a weekly pizza night. We also have a few common friends. I didn't want Sarah to feel uncomfortable at any point, so I tried really hard to let her know everything I could and take the right steps to show her she is my number one. I would always include her in family events, make sure my family would spend time with her, and have even tried to create our own rituals together. I adore this girl. I think she is incredible, and from the day I met her, I have been head over heels. She hasn't voiced a single problem to me about any of this until today. She would even encourage me to invite Emma over to get-togethers we have hosted, or along to movies or dinner with our other friends. I was under the impression Sarah really liked her, especially considering the extra effort she would make to include her. Sarah and Emma have always gotten along, and they haven't been anything but nice to one another. I thought they were friends. She told me today, after taking time to think about it, that our friendship is weird and shouldn't continue. She gave me an ultimatum: to end our friendship, or she will end the relationship. She said she feels disrespected. I would even consider keeping someone I had a relationship with in my life. I couldn't get a single word in before she left. She's staying with a friend tonight. I don't understand how any of this could happen. She seemed happy. This is meant to be a positive time in our relationship. She said nothing has happened between her, Emma, or our families. I don't know what to do. She has been blowing up my phone with texts, and I don't know what to say. I thought I did everything right. Emma and I are still friends, not overly close though, but we definitely don't cross any kind of boundaries together. We don't speak about anything inappropriate or do anything we should not. She is also in a relationship at the moment. We don't talk every day and don't see each other one-on-one or very frequently. Sarah has also mentioned that she is uncomfortable with our families spending time together after we have broken up, and wants me to put an end to that behavior as well. I can't control what my family does, who they see, or who they are friends with. They have been nothing but kind to Sarah. They make a real effort to make her feel special and even include her family. I don't know what to do. Is my friendship wrong? Should I talk to our families? Or is this ultimatum unfair? Edit. I just want to mention, because I have gotten a few comments about it, that Emma and I are no longer close. I see her at events she is also invited to, or when Sarah invites her along with us and our friends to do something. I don't actively seek her out for one-on-one time or invite her places myself. I don't even message her or text her. She's in a relationship too. Our families are close, parents are best friends, and our siblings grew up together. They even still have sleepovers. That means I'll see her places or run into her. That's really hard to avoid, but I really do try. I wanted to make that clear. I have made an effort to set up boundaries to make Sarah as comfortable as possible. I've tried so hard. Relevant comments. Additional info before update. Commenter. What has she said in the texts? Answer. The texts are where her feelings about our families being close came in. She only voiced the fact she didn't want Emma and I to have anything to do with one another before she left and raced out of the door. I've tried calling her, she won't answer. I've left voicemails telling her I want to talk, but I haven't heard a response beyond make a choice. Commenter: you obviously don't control who your family has as friends. Will she then insist you cut off your family when they continue to be friends with Emma and her family? Your SO is being unreasonable and unrealistic. Are there other worrisome, controlling behaviors she engages in that you perhaps haven't addressed? Answer: she hasn't been controlling, or if she has, I have not been able to tell. When we first started hosting get-togethers, though, and going out, I didn't mention Emma or inviting her. I thought it would be more of a couple thing we did for us and our friends, but she would insist Emma came along even though I never asked. That's the worst she's been in my opinion, because she really wanted her to come. She wouldn't let it go. At the time, I figured she just wanted to be friends. Now I'm thinking it could have meant something else. Sarah never acted maliciously in those settings. She only ever wanted to talk to Emma about shows, music, ECT. She had a few things in common with her that she didn't have anyone else to talk to about them with. Update: it's been a very eventful 3 days, and after all of the advice I was given on my last post, I thought I would share an update. I also want to thank everyone for their words of wisdom and kindness. I read every comment and took them all to heart. I really appreciated it. This update is long and not what I was hoping for, but what happened has happened. I couldn't get a hold of Sarah for 2 days. She wouldn't answer my calls or my messages. I'd left her a voicemail asking her to come home or to meet up somewhere for coffee so we could talk together. I let her know I loved her, that she would always be first. I heard nothing back. She's never been like this. If we had an issue, we would always talk it through. We even had a pact to never go to bed mad at one another, and we never have. But she didn't come home. She didn't even reply to me. At first, I thought she wanted some time to cool down, but it just kept getting later. I couldn't stop thinking she would walk back through the door. She didn't. I heard nothing from her. I could barely get any sleep. I texted her explaining I'd do whatever I could to show her how much she means to me. I explained the only reason I saw Emma was at gatherings for mutual friends and family friends that she tagged along to, or when Sarah invited her to events herself. I told her she didn't have to do that I didn't want it or need it. I only wanted her. I said I wouldn't attend any get-togethers I knew Emma would attend at all. I also tried my best to explain that our families were very close before Emma and I got together, and that I couldn't control who they were friends with. I did tell her we could talk, though, and that we would maybe come up with something together that would make her feel more comfortable. I let her know my family loves her. She didn't reply. It took everything I had to not keep calling her to see if she was okay, but I didn't want to upset her further. I read some comments saying it might, so I tried to listen. I still hadn't heard from her by the afternoon of the next day. I tried to call her again, but it rung out. I sent her another message telling her I just wanted to know if she was okay, and that if I didn't hear back from her soon, I would have to start calling her family or her friends. I didn't know if something had happened to her. This was so out of character. She's never done this. I was so worried. She texted me back straight away. "I'm fine. I'm not coming home." That was it. I tried to call her. I knew she was right there. I figured she would pick up. I called, but she had turned her phone off. I didn't know what to do. I felt like my heart had been ripped out of my chest. I didn't know what I should be doing. I didn't know what would bring her home. I just wanted to talk. I wanted to make it better. I ended up going to my parents' house last night. They live close, about 5 minutes on a slow day. I was an absolute mess and didn't think I would cope by myself. It was about 8 p.m. when I went over. I hadn't heard from her again. I went to bed in the spare room. I was only asleep for a few hours when shit started to hit the fan. My phone was going off. It was Sarah. "Where are you? Did you run back to her?" I had no idea what she was talking about. I told her I was at my parents'. I told her I was coming home. I begged her to please just stay. I was fumbling, trying to get myself dressed and find my keys. It was about 2 in the morning. I kept dropping everything. I wanted to be gone. I was halfway out the door. And that's when it happened. She pulled up into the driveway and was absolutely livid when she got out of the car. She was screaming at me, yelling her head off, and no matter what I did, she wouldn't calm down. The street my parents live on is fairly echoey. She was loud. People started flicking their lights on, and our neighbors started to come out onto their porches. It was a shit show. My parents came outside too, and my mother started to try and talk to her. They have always gotten along well, and she wasn't responding to me no matter how much I tried. Sarah wasn't having it. She told me she knew what I had been doing behind her back, that her family knew, and I was lucky enough to be given a chance to cut my ties and move on after having an affair for so long. I have never cheated on her, let alone have an affair. I love Sarah. I wanted to marry her and be with her. It didn't matter what I said. She wouldn't believe me. She wouldn't listen. She kept calling me every name under the sun. My mother asked her to please come inside to talk, that it was a misunderstanding, that I loved her, that they loved her, and we just needed to talk it through. Sarah started calling her a bitch, a terrible mother, a shitty person, told her that she knew what I was apparently doing and even encouraged it, how sick she was for that. My mother tried to explain herself, that this wasn't happening, and that's when Sarah slapped her, out of nowhere, full force. I went silent. My mother started to cry. Sarah started apologizing over and over. It was instant regret, or at least it looked that way. It didn't matter. I ended it right there. I told her to go, that the engagement was off, we were over, and that she needed to get her things from my house. She was crying, still apologizing, but you can't come back from that. She hit my mother. She's never not shown all the love in the world to Sarah. And for her to do that to someone, let alone someone that means that much to me, was enough. I don't know why she wouldn't listen to me. I don't know why she chose to believe these other people over me, why she wouldn't even talk, but it doesn't matter. I've never felt this empty. I gave 3 years of my life to someone who refused to even talk to me or believe me. I thought I knew her. I thought she was kind. How can you go so long with someone and not even know what they could be capable of? All I know at this point is that I plan to stay single for a while. Relevant comments. Commenter. Her behavior is extraordinarily odd. I would reach out to a few friends of hers you really know you can trust and let them know what kind of bad shape she's in. Honestly, this kind of sudden shift sounds like it could be from a brain tumor or mental health issue. It also could be that she was feeling stressed in some way and has had some kind of breakdown under all of the stress. Answer. There's a few friends of hers I can contact, so I definitely will, thank you. I still care about her deeply and want nothing but the best for her, but this just isn't something that I could move past. Commenter. Any possibility that Emma told Sarah that she was having an affair with you? Sarah's behavior is just too odd to come out of nowhere. Answer. From what Sarah did tell Say last night, and from what she has messaged me since, it was members of her family that told her. Her family has never been close to, or met mine. I only met them briefly. They have declined every invitation to get together. From what I know, they haven't gotten to know any of Sarah's exes or their families. My best guess is that the concept is extremely foreign to them, so something had to be amiss in their eyes, or maybe they didn't like me. Sarah loves her family, though. The fact this news came from them is probably why she believed it without any second thought. Commenter. How is your poor mother holding up after all of this, OP? Answer. My mother is one tough lady and she is handling it well considering. But I haven't seen her this upset in a really long time. She was excited about our wedding. She thought Sarah was the greatest girl I've ever brought home. She considered her a daughter and a friend, which is what hurts her the most, I think. She's definitely getting there, though. She even started cracking jokes that I just shouldn't date anymore and buy a dog instead. Okay, next story. My 26F best friend, 23F, might be in love with my husband, 26M. Where do I go from here? My husband and I have been together since we were young teenagers. We got married last year and have a 6-month-old daughter together. She is the light of both our lives as we both came from broken homes and want a better life than we lived growing up. My best friend came a few years later. We used to live in the same neighborhood and casually began to hang out. She lives with both her parents and siblings as she is studying to get her bachelor's degree. At first, she didn't like my husband, said that he was clingy and tried to insert himself into our friendship. WTF? She was civil to him because he was my romantic partner. For context, my husband is bipolar type 2, autism and PTSD, and it causes him to be a little socially awkward and miss certain social cues and taboos. I love him regardless of it all. Over the last few years, we have been hanging out a lot more. She comes over for a few drinks, we go to movies, and even visit local attractions together. We all three have a good time, and my husband does try to make nights for just the two of us often too. However, last year my husband and I found out we were expecting a child together in January. I was working and fell ill because at the time I was working a fast food place. I threw up and went to the doctor. Come to find out, I was 8.5 weeks pregnant. My life changed and I had become more busy to get myself ready for motherhood. My best friends saw me less and less and we couldn't talk as much. My husband and I got married almost a month and a half after discovering we were going to become parents. That's when our dynamic changed. Recently, I applied to school and am currently in college trying to get a law degree so I can become a paralegal and get to law school. I'm also a stay-at-home mom while doing college, too. I've been super busy. One day, my husband gets a text, and it's from my best friend. She asks if they can talk, as she was upset. He took the phone call with me protesting, and a few minutes later said, "Sandra, fake name. We need to go get Carla, fake name. Her father is picking a fight with her." I get upset as we were watching a movie together and I had just gotten the baby down for bed. We go to her house, which is about 20 minutes away, and she stays with us for a night. As I get our daughter back down to bed, Carla asks to cuddle with the two of us in our bed. I was hesitant. I have issues with claustrophobia due to a traumatic experience as a child. My husband gave the go-ahead. We settle in for the night. Carla's dad apologized and she heads back home. Once she was gone, I blew up on my husband. What he did not only inappropriate, but was disrespectful to my boundaries. Ever since, when she has an issue with her dad, she calls my husband and vents. One day, while my in-laws were staying with us, my MIL overheard a convo with my hubby and Carla. She was concerned and asked me if I was okay with it. I said no, not really, but every time I bring it up, he gets defensive, saying that she needs help, that she is going through a hard time, blah, blah, blah. It is important to note that my Mill was cheated on in the past by her ex, my husband's father. We are also extremely close, and she sees me as a daughter. She hates cheaters with a passion, and my husband, who I will refer to as James, was using the same excuses his father did. She asked to speak to him privately and walked to our living room. They got into a heated match, and James apologized to me. He said he didn't know that it was hurting me and causing issues in our marriage. I asked him, how would he feel if I had asked him if another man could sleep in the bed with us? He kind of deflated and tried to say, it's different, blah, blah, blah. His stepfather, Mark, fake name, spoke up and said, it is the same. You're uncomfortable with it, so is she. Quit with the excuses. James respects Mark quite a lot, actually. Mark raised him since he was 8 and his own father was in and out of the picture. Once the dust settles, my husband truly apologized to me for his actions and said that he would do better. I kissed him and that was that. However, I wouldn't be right here if that was the end of the issues. Lately, Carla has been calling him 3 to 8 times a day. She says it's because she is bored and has no one else to talk to. I snap. I call him out over the nonchalance about the situation, how when she calls, he answers, how it is making me feel like a third wheel in my marriage, etc. His response, she's just lonely. You're letting it get to you. That night, I slept in the living room. I'm starting to suspect that she is trying to monopolize his time. She calls him for over an hour each time he calls. They talk. She complains about her life, etc. Almost like she is his girlfriend or something. I am starting to find this relationship troubling. It's getting to the point that it is affecting my marriage. Where do I go from here? Any advice would be appreciated. Edit. Thanks everyone for the feedback. I'm going to have a talk with him, with his mom involved. He won't listen to me if I don't. I'm tired of fighting him over this. I should have an update with a resolution in a couple days. I'm going to read everyone's responses more thoroughly. Thanks for the advice. Edit 2. My husband and I had a sit-down talk. His mother and stepfather weren't available. He promised me that he would explain everything in detail. I called Carla and she said that we could talk Friday when she wasn't busy with school. She had something she needed to air out. I will have an update on Friday, hopefully. Edit 3. I woke up to a text from Carla this morning. She actually wants to talk to me tonight, alone, as her schedule has changed. We are going to have a heart-to-heart. Hopefully, I will have some news. Update. This update is hard. Everything about this situation sucks, and I don't know if I will be okay for some time. Baby and I are currently staying with my friend, Tanya. To start, James and I are getting a divorce. Carla is no longer a friend to me or our mutuals. The betrayal is too deep for her to be friends with our group. As most of you assumed, James and Carla are indeed having an affair. It started about 3 months ago and just turned physical 1 month ago. They were planning on just up and leaving after James served me divorce papers. They used the ruse that he was helping her through emotional issues to hide the fact. I was crushed. She wanted to clear the air before it got worse. That was when she dropped a huge bombshell. James was going to try and get me to terminate my rights to my child in order for Carla to adopt her. The reason? My borderline diagnosis a few years ago made me unfit to be a mother, and he was sure that the courts would agree. She then handed me 2 separate stacks of paperwork and left. I am contacting a lawyer as I am writing this. I was seriously hurt. You guys were right. Carla was a snake and only told me this so she wouldn't feel guilty. However, I am not letting my soon-to-be ex-husband bully me into termination of my rights. I called him afterwards and got very heated about what was going on. James just sat there in silence. I was crying afterwards. I pleaded with him to tell me what I did wrong. For a little bit of backstory, I had a near-fatal complication with my delivery of our daughter where I bled my entire labor. I had to have 2 blood transfusions and haven't fully recovered from it. I was not cleared for any extraneous activity for 3 months, including sexual activity. James was getting unsatisfied with all my doctor's appointments and not getting the sex that he wanted. I was hurting and ended up needing another procedure to remove some placenta that didn't naturally come out. I had to have my tubes tied because if I have another child, it will kill me next time. James wanted at least 2 more kids, and this put an end to his plans. I married a monster. We were together since we were 15, and this is how he repays me? I thought I knew him. He was acting so caring and nice to me. I am absolutely heartbroken. I'm not even sure if I am going to update this anymore, but if I do, it'll be after the divorce settles. Thanks for all your concern. I'm going to step back and take some time to adjust. There is no chance for a healthy co-parenting situation. I'm fighting for primary custody with supervised visits. Carla will not have any access to baby, as I will ask the judge to make a clause preventing her from interacting with my daughter. Thanks for all the advice. Edit. I forgot to add that I contacted his mother and Mark this morning. They are furious that James is doing this to me. They are helping me foot the cost of a lawyer because I'm a stay-at-home mom and college student. They've kicked James out, and he is now staying at our old house with Carla. He did give me the courtesy to get my stuff and didn't put up a fuss about me taking what I wanted. He told me that he will keep in contact for divorce proceedings. How do you like these stories? Write your opinion in the comments. Let's get 1,000 subscribers on this channel. Love you.